inquiry.
Get this, it's not the 7:30 report. Don't panic, anybody. Do you have bad radio advertising in Wales, Bristol, or England, Mark?
Oh, yeah. Well, funny, that was very, very politically correct question. Yeah, yeah. There's all sorts. Terrible. In fact, nearly every I've ever heard on the radio has been awful.
Well, I used to write a lot of them, and in fact, our Brisbane listeners would have been subjected to some of my radio ads back in the mid-'80s.
You used to have to write some amazing amount a week, didn't you?
Well, when I was in New Zealand, I had to write 120 radio ads a week. And you might, because I was working for 2 stations at once, and you might be able to think of maybe 10 good ones. And then you do about 40 where it's just thinking about carpet.
Yeah.
And then another one.
Even 40 bad ones about carpet would stretch me, I think. I literally wouldn't be able to write the word carpet anymore.
It was exhausting. God. But one of the phrases that we used to, when you couldn't think of an idea to start an ad, I would always start with the phrase, "There's never been a better time."
Ah, yeah.
So you go, "There's never been a better time to talk to your bank manager."
That's true.
"There's never been a better time to install some carpeting."
Yeah,
for example. And that was like 20 years ago, and I'm thinking, surely nobody's still, and yet you still do. Occasionally I'll turn on the radio, and the great thing about that phrase, "there's never been a better time," is that if you put it in front of any activity at all, sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got an example of that here.
There's never been a better time
to dishonour a cheque to a needy cause,
to put the bins out in the nutty,
to offer a spiked drink to a passing triathlete.
There's never been a better time
to let one go in the presence of royalty,
to gape in wonder at a fat man's buttocks,
to harbour an unwarranted grudge against a small child,
to make a plaster cast of your own genitalia and post it to Peter Costello's electoral office.
There's never been a better time
to apply for a bank loan in an unconvincing brogue, to arse around with fireworks in a presbytery,
to leave an elderly relative in a remote location with a locked mobile phone,
to purchase a brown 3-piece corduroy suit and get around town looking like a puff,
to try and get out of jury duty by pleading erectile dysfunction.
There's never been a better time
to teach your dog to evacuate itself every time it hears Summer of 69 by Bryan Adams,
to attend a public reading by Peter Carey and request one of his earlier, funnier stories,
to negotiate a workplace agreement that guarantees you 3 orgasms by lunchtime, to disorient your postman by rearranging all the numbers in your street into a non-consecutive sequence, to go to your video shop and rent every copy of the last Olsen Twins movie with your pants around your ankles,
to talk to your GP about what you can do to him right up,
to broadcast a radio program from a haunted studio.
There's never been a better time
to pay millions of dollars in bribe money to a Middle Eastern dictator,
to join a lengthy queue at an ATM wearing a balaclava and carrying a shotgun,
to steal a Mr. Whippy van and lead the police on an harrowing, if hilarious, chase, to fart in a bath and call it a podcast,
to reenact the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony inside your pants,
to rear end a booze bus and stagger from the wreckage shouting, "Me so horny," to stand in a freezing supermarket car park reading bullshit into a tape recorder.
Me so horny, me so horny, me so horny.
You know, you could sort of guess, really, that would have been better if I got real people to do that.
Yeah.
And I went and stood in the car park at Coles with all those lines written on cards. And I stood there for 2
How long did
hours.
it take you to write out the cards?
Oh, writing out the cards took about an hour. That was exhausting. And so I went there, and no one would say them. Like, I got about 6, but there's 25, so unless you get all of them, you can't really use any of them. And I could not get anyone to say, "Gape in wonder at a fat man's buttocks."
What's the matter with people?
In the end, Ed had to.
Yeah, I had to do
They
it.
haven't got to do it, they've just got to read it.
That's right. I think that's what they thought I was asking.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
Like it was a
That's different
challenge.
then, that is different. Yeah.
No, right, someone thought I was asking them to make a plaster cast of their genitals and send it to Peter Costello's electorate.
Yeah, that's much, much more effort there.
But in the end, I just
You've got to find out
snapped.
his address and everything.
I just threw the cards down and I just stormed home and I had a tape recorder and I just did all the voices myself. I just went, "I'm bugging you." So no one's going to say "Gape in wonder at a fat man's buttocks." I'll do it myself.